One of the things that you got to believe in the human potential to do what? To be option seekers, to do what? To create new options. And what's happened in our country, a lot of the institutions that people used to belong to, people have to be connected. What's happened today, we're disconnected. We're disconnected from family. It ain't what the teachers said the other day, I mean, Edmund Burke, who was an old British, philosopher, talked about the role of this sector, in a sense. He talked about the little platoons of affection, and where are those platoons of affection and loyalty except in the community, And where are those platoons of affection and loyalty except in families and neighborhoods and communities that create that affection, create those loyalties because there's values there. Now, what you have to do here in creating new kinds of, quote, community institutions that people are connected to with loyalty and affection and help hook them to the public and the private sector. The problem we have in American society, Democrat or Republican, they want to suck all this up into either one, Sears, Roebuck, and Coldwell Banker is going to have a credit card now that you can buy anything, I mean, you can get anything, computers and all that. So it's going to be harder and harder to create community. People are very alienated and disconnected. A lot of the institutions that used to hold people's loyalties and affections, and a lot of institutions where people got their values from, hardly exist. So if you're going to do community and economic development, and you do it the same way government does, the same way Chase Manhattan does, then you're going to be a failure. You're going to be a disaster. Because you're not going to build upon the culture and the values, of people, and you then eventually in the long run, you're not going to have the loyalty and or support of people. And even though you may be doing good by doing things for people, you're going to end up in judgment in a sense of having done it to them. De Tocqueville said, when there was a Frenchman to run around, and he was looking at America's strength was in its voluntary sector, what people did when they organized together themselves, so on. So your techniques and so on have to be related to creating, community sector, human as well as economic and community development models. Now somehow, what we have to do when we get our shot again in terms of public policy, we have to say, look, there's a legitimate role for government at the federal, state, and local level. Legitimate role. Got to be fair, got to be just. There's a legitimate role for the financial institutions. And what we have to do is become legitimate in this sector. We, the people, have got to keep the public and the private sector honest and so on. Remember, it said, in God we trust. It didn't say, in the government we trust, or in Chase Manhattan we trust, It said, we, the people, in God we trust. It didn't say, we, the elected people. It said, we, the people. And the tension in this country is going to be whether or not there is a covenant between the people and how the people deal with government and or the private sector. We have to develop from here the values of a new social policy for government. A new social policy for government says there's a three-way partnership in the way we do things, particularly in community and economic development. And your work will legitimize that. Because if we're still around in Washington and someday the sun shines and somebody says, what the hell do we do and how do we do it? They said, there's somebody in Texas, there's somebody in Kentucky, there's somebody in Newark, there's somebody in Mississippi, there's somebody in California, there's somebody in Washington who did it, and there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Hopefully, you're going to represent a new breed that knows how to do it the right way. And in doing that, you'll have real community development, real economic development, and you'll have human development as well. You'll be helping people exercise their human, and what you'll be doing is responding to the human spirit to provide new gifts. And hopefully, you're part of the new gifts, that we'll have that will meet the new needs of American society. And I talked long enough. I thank you very much for this chance.